Hi, it's Kirsten. Today we're going to talk about lobster, and probably most of you have enjoyed a lobster in your lifetime. Our topic is going to be from trap to table. And we're down here in beautiful Alma. Everybody knows it's close to Fundy Park, and it's a very popular tourist attraction with a lot of lobster boats going in and out and lobster shops where you can buy them really fresh. Let's just talk about a bit about the lobster fishing licenses. And they're issued by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, so it's a federal licensing. They usually have two classes. One is Class A, which is the most expensive license, and it is meant for fishing a larger quantity, so for commercial fishermen who export and ship overseas. Now, a Class B license is for moderate fishing. So it's pretty much like, let's say you're going to buy a car. So if you have a Class A, that would mean you're probably driving a Porsche or a Mercedes. If you have a Class B, you're probably driving a smaller model or SUV, and you're probably only supplying the neighborhood or store. But in any event, both licenses are very costly. And for a Class A license, you can actually realize 800,000 to $1 million. A Class B license would run around 300,000. And what's very interesting is that they're not transferable. So you can't just give it to your friend or sell it to your friend without special approval by the federal government. And there are a lot of cases on their files where they have denied these transfers. It's just a boat going out, and this is another thing that is determined by DOF, Department of Fisheries of Ocean, and that is when the boats can go out. So depending whether you're in the Bay of Fundy or whether you're on Northumberland Strait, your fishing season may be different, and also the Department of Fisheries and Oceans will determine where you are allowed to fish. So everyone is given an area. And of course, knowing by your license, you know exactly how many traps you're allowed to take. Your license must be displayed on their boat so that if there is an inspection, everything is in order. So down here in Alma, our licensing goes from our season, I should say, is from May to July 31st, at which time all the boats are coming back in, and we don't resume fishing until October 14th with the first high tide, and that is determined by DOF. So we're in, of course, Collins Lobster Shop. The owner is Mike Mitchell. And unfortunately, he could not be there for us to give a few comments and get a bit of a history, but I was able to dig up a picture of him. And so here we are at the wharf, and that goes back about 3 or 4 years before the pandemic. And so Mike has been operating this shop for 25 years or longer. Is he smiling? Okay, now you want to know whether it's a boy or girl, right? It's just a girl.
That's a girl. Can you tell by the leg, the little,
Yeah,
little
but the feathery things, yeah. You see the feathery
They're
thing?
soft and they're crossed.
And they're crossed.
And the male's straight up and hard.
that's a boy. So you got a bird. I don't see, you can't tell the difference when you're looking from afar.
No.
And they fight each other in the water.
Yeah.
If you don't ban them, they would kill each other off.
They will too. Motorbikes here made at a Lobster show.
Oh, okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Look at that. Have you got any furniture that was made out of?
No, the trap, the white people. Don't have any on here.
Any traps around either. Yeah.
I mean, they're all sorted by size. These are bigger ones. This is what we call select.
Okay,
Select are usually 2 pounds to 4 pounds. Yeah. And now we have these are halves, pound and a half, anywhere from 1.4 to 1.7. No, we throw it in here. We just get a crate off the boat, it's got everything in it. Yeah. These are smaller ones. These go to pound and a quarter. Pound.
They're buying them for, you don't ship them anywhere.
No, well, we ship some of them get shipped.
Yeah.
And a lot of these are for the stores, like Sobeys and stuff that we sell to.
So which size do you ship size?
We ship every size. Yeah.
So the fishermen come in and you bring them to your place?
No, we have to go to the wharf.
Go to the wharf?
Yeah, go to the wharf and pick them up. I have a crate of bigger ones here somewhere. Bigger ones, but I don't have one left. Scotia, we put our stuff away and we truck them back over again when we need them. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to show part of how they cook?
What's that? Yeah, I can show them how they cook, yeah.
Careful, eh?
Careful for This is their cook room. These are the big pots that they go into to be cooked. We generally cook 100 pounds at a time.
And you cook them in seawater?
Yeah, in seawater.
And how long would you give everyone? Like 20 minutes?
It depends on the size.
Okay.
Smaller ones are generally about 15 minutes, and then pound and a half to 25, you keep going up from there.
Okay.
Keep adding the time to it. And I can cook 100 pound each side. So I can cook 100 pound on this side, and I can cook 100 pound on that side.
So when you have high season, I know that, you know, you probably sell about how many a day?
It just depends. Sometimes we sell 500 or 600 pounds a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, just cooked.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more than that, sometimes it's a little less.
So obviously because you have the tourists, you're going to be selling more cooked ones.
Exactly, yeah.
But the locals come in for the fresh, right?
Yeah.
Do their own?
Yeah, a lot of them like cooking their own.
So when they're in the big tanks, what are they getting for feed?
Nothing, they just live off the water.
Just off the water?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's enough stuff in there when it comes in from the bay?
They live off that.
What would they normally consume when they're out there?
Out there, anything that's on the bottom, like herring and all that stuff, yeah.
So they would survive how long just on seawater?
In here? Oh, they'd last 3 or 4 months, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes longer than that. Yeah.
Okay. So what's this big thing?
That's the cooling pot.
Okay.
After I cook them, that's full of water, cool water to cool them off. Because if not, they keep cooking in the shell.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to cool them off.
And then you weigh them and mark them and price
them and everything else. Yeah.
A lot of people have them shipped home.
Yeah, we do quite a bit of shipping. Yeah.
But most of them take them to the park, to the picnic, right?
Yeah, they take them home and break into themselves and eat them themselves.
If they make it off the parking lot.
If they make it out of the parking lot, yeah.
What about other like crabs and scallops and stuff? You don't get involved in that?
No, we have scallops. Crab we have bring in. There's nobody that fishes crab here.
But scallops,
Scallops, they fish scallops here.
But you don't have, you have fresh or frozen?
Well, we have fresh sometimes. It depends on the boats when they're out and when they're not. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we got here early, so we know that we're not interfering with.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries.
So when did Mike start here? Do you remember?
1991, I believe. I think he come here.
Before that was Reg Collins, right?
It was Reg. I don't know if Reg owned it right then or.
But he had started it more or less. And
Reg had started it, yeah.
And then did.
It seems to me Jim Wood owned it for a bit.
Okay.
Somehow there.
And then Mike took over.
Mike took over from, I think Larry Ingalls bought it at one time, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay. Because Mike's dad was a salmon fisherman, right?
No, he was into the lobster too.
But in St. Stephen.
No, in Back Bay.
Back Bay.
Yep.
Okay. So that's where it got into the blood.
That's where it got into the blood.
But Mike didn't go on the boats though.
No, he didn't. No.
Probably got seasick.
Yeah.
Like most of the.
Like most of them do. Yeah.
It's amazing. A lot of fishermen get seasick.
Careful with that.
Okay. Take some of these paraphernalia.
Oh yeah. That's a rooster fish.
So it's time for us now to move down to the harbor or to the wharf and see where the action is. Of course, in the middle of August, there is not much action with the lobster boats, but we will be able to see some. Unfortunately, it's low tide when we get there, so I will show you a picture right after this one with the different tide levels. Between high and low tide can be as much as 15 meters or 45 feet. So it's quite impressive to see a boat going from being flush with the pier to being sitting in the mud of Fundy Bay in a cradle. So let's just go and see what we can capture. And if I need to do any more explanation, probably not. These are all lobster boats that are waiting to go out or put gear on for scallop fishing. So we'll just take some photos and let you see how they are sitting in the mud. And from there on, we will be able to go to another lobster shop and just see the difference between two different outlets of lobster in our village. So once we're finished here with the store, we will be strolling down to the wharf. Unfortunately, today is low tide, but I have a picture here of what it looks like with high tide. And we will just take a look at some of the boats. Most of them are currently sitting in mud. And if you look really close, they are sitting in cradles so that there is no movement and that they don't bang into each other. Just for your amusement, I have two pictures here. One shows our wharf at low tide, and you can see where the boats are sitting in the mud. If you look really closely, in the middle of the boats, there's a bit of a cradle, and one on each side, so they slip right in, and that's where they stay so that they don't hit the wharf side. Of course, at high tide, and it's not quite high, but almost, the boats will be flush with the pier, so you can just walk on and off without any difficulties. Here's just another little clip from a boat in Alma, and you can see the cradle quite clearly on the yellow boat there. This is a YouTube video, and hopefully you can see it at your own time. If you want to, you can just go onto YouTube, look for something Alma High Tide and by Tom Samworth. So we couldn't copy that for you, unfortunately. We have a picture of a blue uh, lobster that I found on the internet. This is just for show and tell. We will be seeing blue lobster later on when we get to the Alma Lobster Shop because they do have a little one there and they also have a yellow one there, or red one, I should say. Just a little bit about our fleet launch party. So this occurs every year on October 14th and at first high tide, because that's when the fisher are allowed to leave to get their next catch. And this is, of course, stipulated by the Department of Oceans and Fisheries. So every year the time is different because, as we know, the tides schedule does not coincide with our regular daytime clock. And so we've been out at 3 in the morning, we've been out at 1 in the morning, and I believe in 22 we were out at 1 a.m. in the morning. But we want to make sure that we celebrate our fisher and that we wish them well on their journey because it's a very trying job, very hard work, and they're out in all kinds of weather. And so we pray for their safety, and we are happy and celebrating with them the safe return. We have fireworks, we have pipers, and I'm going to show you a couple of pictures. We usually get some CTV coverage down here or CBC, whoever wants to join us. It's become a real tradition, and I think it's going to be carried on for quite a while. So we're happy to share that with anybody who wants to come down and purchase lobster. You might as well wait till after the launch party because they're going out. They may not come back for a day or two, but when they do, there's a fresh catch of lobster waiting for you. So join us for the party and stay a couple of days in Alma if you can. Yeah, here's just a bit of an excerpt from a news article, and that was done by CTV, Derek Haggard, and that was done on October 14th last year. So, as I said, they come down often to cover this event, and we usually get a lot of publicity because it's a real tourist attraction. But all the locals are coming out for the fleet launch because most of them are related to the fishermen, and they all want to wish them well. So here's a couple of photos. They're not quite good quality, but just showing you the loaded boats with the traps, and then the one that's going out with the lights and with the fireworks behind them. And so this obviously, sometimes it takes them all day to load the boats, and then they are tired as they go out, but they're not going to be sleeping for at least 36 hours or more because, it's their time to go out and make some money. Here we have Ian Duncan. He is one of our local pipers, and he's been helping out with most of our fleet launches. As you can see, he is trying to keep warm. I think this was taken at about 3 in the morning on a really cold October day, but he is also part of the fireworks, and we wouldn't want to have a firework and a launch party without a piper to wish the fisher well. So they've got quite a Is that the, wait a minute, let's get a good, where do you want them to get a good picture?
Yeah, the coffee was just like, look, here, I'll give you these.
Okay, stay put, stay put. It's a cute one.
No, that's cool.
This is an actual live red lobster.
Only like, 6 pounds or so. Oh, yeah, watch out.
What are they, like 8 pounds?
7 or 8, yeah. Lobster on
Thank you very much. Yeah, don't get bit.
They slide off because they get too slimy.
Yeah. That's somebody's job to do that on everyone.
The fishermen do them.
Oh, they do it?
Yeah. These ones will just come off.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. We just shipped out.
Yeah, right across your place. Up in there behind Greg's place. There's all kinds of traps up in there. Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's start cooking. So here you have a pot which does not look big enough. So I would probably recommend you use a larger pot when you cook your lobster. You will want to bring the water to a full boil, add a bit of sea salt because they're accustomed to sea salt. Drop them in head first if they're obviously they are alive when you start cooking them. And if you do hear a bit of a noise, it's not that the lobster are reacting to the boiling water, it's just the air coming out of some of the crevices of the lobster. So they're not crying because they're getting into the pot. They cannot feel that. So don't be worried about hurting them. On the right, you see the finished product, and this looks like a typical maritime dinner plate. Lobster still banded. Not that they can hurt you now, but garlic butter, potatoes, corn, anything that has to be accompanying. And here is one that's fully cooked with a bit of lemon. I prefer mine just without it and butter a little bit. But here are some of the utensils you might want to put on the table. Definitely a shear or scissors for lobster, especially made for lobster, because you need to be turning it over and cutting it open. And I didn't put a nutcracker out, but I use a nutcracker to demolish the claws because they're very hard. And then here you have your little picks for all the little crevices that you want to get the meat out of, because especially the meat in the legs are very sweet and tender. So just have a few utensils and make sure you wear a bib or a big towel because lobster eating can be messy. If you go to the restaurant, they usually have a lobster bib for you. This is just a little picture I took some time ago about when our lobster fleet was in the nice sunset of Alma. Well, you probably heard about lobster tree, Christmas trees. A friend of mine, Brenda, who went through a lot of trouble to design with engineers and to get the materials. These are all lobster traps, and they all have to be in a certain position in order that it doesn't collapse. She also made sure we had colorful buoys and we had some live um, greenery. And on top, you see a lobster that was carved actually by our current mayor for Fundy Albert, Bob Rochon. So this is now in front of our cultural center in Alma, and hopefully I have a picture of what it looks like when it's lit up. So we'll be searching through my records and hopefully be able to show you a nighttime picture. So before we leave you with all that information and of course all the lobster information regarding how to catch them, where to buy them, what to look for, we want to also tell you about different recipes. What can you do with the lobster? A lot of people just want it the way it is. Others want to make lobster rolls. And that's an easy recipe because you can use your cooked lobster meat, mix it up with maybe a bit of mayo, a bit of green onion, put it on a hot dog bun with a bit of greens, and enjoy it as a nice lunch. Or you can have a lobster salad. Basically, add anything that you like, including vegetables or salads, greens, and fruit. Or you can go the route of chowder, and I can tell you we've had some chowder competitions down here in Alma, but you can certainly try any which way you want to do a chowder. It usually involves your lobster, your broth, and some cream, and some vegetables, and of course, good tasting spices. So you can experiment, and I encourage everyone to go onto Facebook to look for different recipes, because a lot of these recipes you use very little lobster, and you can buy frozen if you don't want to buy the fresh, and you can just add a little bit here and there and enjoy lobster all year round. So I hope that if you have any questions, the internet, Mr. Google or Mrs. Google will be able to supply you with more information. So thank you very much for being with us today.